customer needs some service.
Karun! Miss Ayase!
Go on!
Dun, dun, dun. What's going on, my friends? This was Don the Don Season 2, Episode number 18. Or if you're keeping count in the traditional sense, this was Episode number 6, or 6 weeks, or halfway through Season 2 of Don the Don. And my friends, I come to report this episode was the best episode of the season, and purely for the reasons there was so much that happened. There was so much chaos. Okay, let me rephrase that. Not a lot happened, but there was a lot of just moving parts, and it was super chaotic. But the main thing, the reason that I personally love Don the Don the most, is it was hilarious. I was dying of laughter, okay? The end credits where Okaru's coming across Ayase, and she decided she's gonna get a part-time job. I'm over here, I'm sure you were too, thinking she's gonna go work at her friend's like eatery or be a server in a traditional sense, or go work at like some like little like, you know, mart or something. No, she decided she's gonna go and say, hey, hi master, how may I serve you, master, at a Maid cafe. And on top of that, geeked out top tier friends dragging our boy all the way on a quote-unquote date to the Maid cafe is hilarious. And seeing him, I don't know if you guys noticed, but it's from like minute 20 to about almost minute 23, he's fighting them the entire way of like, I refuse to go on a date with you guys. I refuse. And I love that he's completely seen now, you know, when it comes to our boy Ken, Okaru, whatever, he's completely seen in a different light. People outside of his circle are seeing him in a different light. He's more confident. He's rizzing without even trying in the most like subdue ways. It's so effing hilarious. Then, you know, before all that, you know, we have the whole entire morning of them getting ready, right? You have Ayase, you have our boy Okaru and Jin waking up in the middle of the night, and that whole entire scene of them going to the bathroom, and he's watching over him, and everyone's half asleep, and Ira's in the back snoring, and Momo's just like, you good, whatever, and then they wake up, and they're freezing because the house was blown up by Gigi, and they're getting ready in the morning, and Ira's putting on her makeup, and Momo's using a little bit about it. Ira's, you know, being the servant to, you know, to Ken for whatever reason. It's just all absolutely just effing hilarious. And it was just such a scene. And that was only like a portion of the episode. Then the rest was finally, you know, Gigi practicing and everything. And then we have all the Exorcists that came, and that was a hilarious scene. It was like they came and they sang and they were exorcising our boy Gigi, and eventually, you know, grandma ended up, you know, changing her mind. Grandma Seiko was just like, you know what? I'm going to keep them. I like spirits. Like, I'm going to keep them, you know, and that was hilarious. And what else happened this episode? Let me think. Yeah, the beginning of the episode was just them reeling at the begin. Well, yeah, the beginning of the episode was just them kind of like the aftermath of Gigi basically annihilating the house. But this is what we watched Don the Don for. I mean, when I say we, I mean, I very much mean me, but I know that there's a lot of you guys out there that watch it for just the crazy interactions between Ayase and between Okaru and between Ira and, you know, Turbo Granny and Grandma and, you know, Gigi and the classmates around them. But very much like when Don the Don just focuses on Ken and Ayase's relationship, when it just hones in on them, and there's minor things that happen around that, that's when Don the Don is just pure gold. When it goes too far left or too far right to the ghost, you know, to the paranormal or to the aliens, and it starts focusing on not them, it's very hit or miss. You know, it worked with Ira and the tear-jerking episode that she had with her gaining her powers, but even Ira's arc in the middle was like, what, 1 episode, maybe 2 episodes. It didn't overstay its welcome like the Gigi arc, which is basically like, what, 5 now, 5. Like, if you include this one, I wouldn't. It was like about 5 episodes. That's a lot of time to dedicate to one side story. And on top of that, it also started last season with the last episode of last season, or maybe even the last 2 episodes of last season. So it's like we have this big, massive chunk focused to just Gigi, as opposed to like Ira was like, 1 or 2 episodes of the ballerina stuff. I think maybe it was 2 episodes, whatever it was. But, so it's been hit or miss. But like, man, this episode was so good. It was effing funny. It was hilarious. Yeah, this is what I watched on and on for. I think this was an easy 9 out of 10. Best. I think this was the best episode of the season. Again, I'm sitting there laughing. I'm crying from laughing. I had to pause a few times. Not because I was bored or whatever. It's because like I was just like I had to grab my face and like you know what I mean. And that's the best feeling when you're watching a show, is when it's hitting you either in the feels like like the ballerina stuff, like when you're like crying, or on the opposite side when you're just like having a fantastic time watching and you're just dying of laughter because these characters are just going crazy. Also, Ayase in the maid outfit, especially when she gets all shy seeing 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿. Is there anything better? I don't think so. That's all I got for you, my friends. Dandadan is back, I think. So, I've been very lukewarm on the Gigi arc. It just hasn't been as good. And then with them focusing on the old lady, with her apparently being an alien, and it sounds like it's going to go even crazier. I'm a little worried still, but if they can just focus, give us the next few episodes, maybe don't start the old lady stuff to like, maybe have us like end on that as we're going to the next season or something. But if they can just focus back on just 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐿 and Ayase's relationship, again, we don't need any crazy thing romantic, but just when they're just together, it's just a fun time. So yeah. Anyways, I'll see you guys next week for episode number 19 and or episode 7. Again, whichever way you guys are keeping count. All right, friends. Peace.